Well, good afternoon, listeners. Thank you for listening to Lament of Hope podcast. I am so happy, excited that this podcast has been a gift to so many people and have been encouraging to you guys in the comments. And if you enjoy hearing people's stories from around the world, please do subscribe. It's a gift to me, and it's also helpful to my interviewees that you can know more about them and um, research them more. But today I'm speaking with Hanna Maria Antson from Estonia, actually, which I have never been to, and actually I've never interviewed anyone from Estonia, so it's really cool to connect with her just on that end. But Hanna has a YouTube channel that she's relatively just kind of revamped up, talking about her eating disorder that she is in recovery with and something that she feels is important to talk about. And so many people have been affected by eating disorders. I have known friends, family members who have struggled with eating disorders. And I always wanted to be able to do a podcast with someone who has experienced that and can talk about it. And I came across her YouTube channel, which I will link here for you. And I was like, this sounds like a person that I can connect with and who will be raw about this. And somebody too who's young and can relate to younger individuals. I think, right now, mental health is very hard for everybody. I struggle with mental health. It doesn't look like eating disorder for me, but mental health is a very hard and real topic for so many people. And so I think hearing someone's recovery story and their vulnerability is something that can be encouraging to you. So I hope that this is what that is. Obviously, if you are going through it at this time, something may be triggering for you. So feel free to pause it as much as you need, or um, if you start it, come back later. Totally up to you. But again, I hope it's an encouragement ultimately for you. So, Hannah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, especially with the big time zone change. I'm really grateful that you're taking the time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. What an honor to be the first one from Estonia.
Yes, I, you know, I wish I could travel the world if I had all the money, I would. But I've never met anyone either from Estonia, so it's such an honor to meet you. Um, but I did want to ask, Hannah, just to kind of start out, I thought it was really interesting what you said at the beginning, and this might give people just a little glimpse of Estonia. Before we start, what is a big difference that you see between Americans and Estonians? What is something, either that you think your culture is really developed in that you're very proud of that we're not, or something that you think just makes Estonia very special to you and unique?
Mm, well, I'll say two things. One thing that I like and one thing that I like more about maybe the US people and the States. So the thing I like more in Estonia is that we're so small and we're so like literally everybody knows everybody. I don't have any like there's not one person who I know that doesn't know another person that I know, you know. So it's like a whole like little fish pond because there's 1.3 million of us. It's like less than some like cities like well, big cities in the US have like so many more people than the whole country of Estonia.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like feeling kind of special or not special, but like a part of a like little culture that I can call myself Estonian. That's really um, nice. And yeah, like this is what I really love. And I really love this country. Um, but the thing I'm not so like happy about is and what I like more in the US is the people. Um, Estonian people are tend to be very cold and not talk much, and like if you say hi to somebody on the street, they will look at you with a face that they want to murder you. Or like they're like, "Oh my God, who are you? What are you saying to me?" And and that's it was really hard for me because when I lived in Switzerland for a year, um, then I came back and there it was also common to like greet people when you're walking the dog or something. And then I came back to Estonia and started doing that and I got no replies. And you get the vibe. It's yeah, Estonian people are like that, very, very cold and no emotion. And and then I really enjoy it when I'm talking to people from other countries who just like they open they open up and you can like really speak to them. And well, you can in Estonia too, but like I'm saying in general, it's Estonian people get they need a lot of time to warm up.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Is it just
That's I think well, it's the culture, like it keeps going the way your parents and your grandparents teach you and are grown up. Um, but I also feel like maybe it's a little bit affected from our past, and people had to be really serious, and we've been independent for what 33 years now, getting 34. So it's like we've always like Estonia's history has been really difficult.
Hmm.
So probably from that. Also, they say that Nordic people in general, like also Finnish people, are the same way. So I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with the cold.
Hmm. Because you seem, I mean, you mentioned this, you seem very open, vulnerable, especially in your videos. So how did you kind of, have you always been just very open to people in general, or was that something that developed based on traveling, or how did you kind of become not the stereotypical Estonian?
I think I've always been like that. Yeah, I'm really the opposite of people, and that's why I also like find it easier with people from abroad. But yeah, I think I've always been like that from very young.
Did your did your family, are they like that too, or
So and so, like it depends. It's weird that I'm actually, you know, I'm. If you look at my family, then there's like um. So I have triplet siblings and my mom and my dad. And if you would have seen our like dinner table, then it would have been like in the past when we were younger. It was like the three of the siblings and my mom were like just talking, 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 and then me and my dad were like doing this, like hiding kind of because I'm actually the kind of a person that when I'm interrupted then I shut up and then I'm gone, you know? Like if and my siblings and my mom are kind of the opposite. They can just like talk over each other and they don't care. They're like a big like Italian like screaming whatever. And but me and my dad are like actually quite quiet in that sense. Um so but when I go out and when I've given the space to actually talk, then I can talk a lot. But I'm very bad at taking the initiative because I think that people are not interested in listening, kind of, or that's like I think, well, maybe I'm not thinking it like, but it's in the subconscious.
yeah. No, yeah, I do. So what gave you the idea and really the courage to make videos that people all around the world were going to see, even like your friends? I was thinking in Estonia, when you're talking about community, everyone might see your videos. How did you? decide, this is important enough that I want to do that?
Mm, First of all, I've always grown up with a camera in our family because my siblings are photographers and videographers. Our family trips looked like that, when we went to a national park or whatever, normal people are there for like an hour and we were at least for three because everything had to be like photographed or taken a video of. So I'm really used to cameras from really young age, and that's where also like my interest comes from it. Um, and yeah, well, when did I decide? I really actually didn't even think about it. Like, of course, when I recorded the first video and like was very, very open and vulnerable and said something that probably a lot of people didn't know about me. Like my friends, yeah, they knew, but like other, like I said, in Estonia, everybody kind of knows everybody. So maybe people who had met me and they know of me didn't know this part of me. Um, so so yeah, and then yeah, I didn't really think about that too much. It was just a thing that I felt I had like want to do. See, have some company.
I have a
Uh,
cat. I have a cat too. I think he's under the bed.
she is like always like whenever I get on a Zoom call or whatever, she wants to be on the video like call as well.
Yeah, she has your same love of the camera then.
Yeah, I think so. So,
What did you, I was gonna ask, starting kind of from the beginning, when did you start developing an eating disorder? And do you know why? Why you think it started?
mm, so um, the first. Well, I was diagnosed for the first time in I'm really good with numbers. So 16th of May 2018. Um and that's a long time ago. But um like I think and for me it all went really fast. So it wasn't like I hid it for years or whatever. It was I was actually the one who went to my mom or parents and said that, Mom, I might have an eating disorder. I don't know, but it seems to me that I do, which
Hmm.
is again really uncommon. Um, but thank God it was this way for me because like even though this happened, um, my my health still continued to go downwards and like downhill. Even though we like got really fast, like really quickly, an appointment to the psychiatrist and everything, and uh, but but yeah, to answer why, mm, you know, I've done so much therapy, and I still do like I'm do like twice a week, um, and it's a question that I haven't still find an answer to
Hmm.
because yeah, like I've never had anybody tell me like straightforward anything bad about my body or yeah, like I've done a lot of sports and I've never had any coach comment on my body or any friend comment on my body in a bad way. So this is like a thing that's like out of question for me that this was the starter. I think it just has a lot to do with like how I grew up and growing up besides three older siblings who are triplets, and I always wanted to live up to them and always be on the same level with everybody. And the whole it was like extremely difficult to get any attention um like for myself because they were just so like not in a bad way, but like they are just a lot when they are there because they're so like emotional and and there's three of them.
Yeah.
So for me it was like, we've always said that I didn't get attention in a good way, so I started doing like a lot of, like I cried like I was such a like sad kid, like I was always crying to get attention because like, with good things I couldn't get it. And it wasn't intentional. It was just the way it like went because I was small and again there was three of them.
Yeah.
And um and yeah, but I'm not gonna put like all the reasoning on this either because I think there's a lot of different things and a lot of my own like battles as well.
Yeah.
And like, because people have asked me why have I become so like success oriented and like has anybody like have I grown up in a household that was like yeah, only the best grades and like really strict, and I'm always telling them that no, that wasn't the case. I was raised like my mom was begging me to, so for example, our highest grade in school is a 5, and then you go like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And my mom was begging me to like bring home like anything else than a 5 because it was like, take please like give yourself some slack, and I was like no. And it's like super weird that like nobody has ever like really like pushed me, or not in words. um
Right. You've just done it yourself.
yeah. So, and I've always felt that I had to do it, with
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of things in life.
Well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like for me, that I have anxiety and depression and all this stuff, there is not one reason. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
sure.
reasons, and probably some I don't even know yet. Because, like
Yeah.
you, I do therapy as well, and I still find out new stuff. Like, it's just not, it's almost like, I mean, I think because the human is so complex and so whole, there's so many parts of us, it's endless to know exactly all the mind and the heart and the soul and all the stuff that contributes to pain and hurt and what we do.
Yeah, I think
Um,
like a human never stops developing as well. So like you never stop kind of developing the like negative things as well. So it's like you always have something to find out about yourself.
yeah, exactly. Um, so in 2018, you said that's when you told your parents. So
Yeah.
how long did it go on before you told your parents? Was it like a year? Was it a couple months?
Mm, you know, it was I remember I getting like so in 2017 in like October we went to Bali with my mom and my dad. And I remember back then I didn't like do anything actively to like either lose weight or yeah, make my body any different, but I remember when I came back from that a trip, I didn't want to post any photos, which I had a lot of like to Instagram or whatever, because I was like my body just like I couldn't because I couldn't look at these photos because I was so unhappy with my body. And then I didn't do anything about it, but I just talked really badly about my body. Um, and then like yeah, it was kind of the mindset. And then the first time I remember doing anything like restricting my food intake was in March or the end of March. So like I'm telling you, like it really went really fast. Like in 2 months, I already told my parents, or less than 2 months, Um, and like I never hid it because I never understood that I have a problem. Like
Right.
I didn't like right when I like it was exact day because the story is actually really like I still get goosebumps from the story. How I kind of why I even got the thought that I might be having a problem. Um, and that was the exact day I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, there might be something. So yeah.
What did the restricting look like when you started doing it? Was it just skipping meals? What did it look like?
So I've always eaten a ton, like because if this was also a competition I did with my siblings, I always wanted to eat as much as they did and things like
Yeah.
that. And I did a lot of sports as well, and I've been a really good eater. Like, I mean, I've never been picky before that, and I was the like my mom always said that I was a dream child to like travel with, and because I was you know, I really specifically remember one time we went to a restaurant in Estonia, and then um there was like this little like Asian menu as well. I think it was like an Estonian restaurant, but they were doing like handmade ramens. And then I was like, ramen, I have no idea what that is. And then was reading the ingredients, and then there was like bok choy and uh um like I don't know, all sorts of things. I don't remember that well, but and I didn't understand a word, and I was like, I want this because this is cool. And I don't know anything about it. Whereas like other children are like, mac and cheese, please. And
Yeah,
and
that's
I always wanted to try. And also I got really mad, or like mad, but I was like mad when the waiters brought me like children menus. I was like, who's gonna eat? Like, I think like okay, maybe when I was really young, but when I was like a child who normally would pick from the child menu, I always picked from the adults. Like, I don't remember a time when I ever ate like a children's plate. So yeah, that's actually really funny that like we've always said that it's really ironic that I got an eating disorder. Um, but yeah, it started from just like eating less, and that was quite hard for me because like I was used to just like eating whatever. And it started actually at a camp. I was in London for a week for in a camp, and then, there was this girl who looked like perfect in my opinion, and then I was like, oh, I have to start, eating less. And then I kind of started eating less during that camp, and it was a week, so and it wasn't like less, like it was just like a bit less. Like I still ate all meals and snacks and whatever, but I think it was more the thought behind there, that I have to like start. And then I came back and I had lost a little bit of weight, and that kind of, that the rest is history. Like if you see something like working, and I saw that this worked, so I started like first thing because also in Estonia we have school lunches, so like every school has its lunch. It's like we don't have these like cafeterias that much, and well, it depends on the school, but it's a little bit the system is a little bit different here. So I started not going to the school lunches and making my own lunches, which I had like calculated and also like kind of controlled the calorie intake that way. And then, I never got to a point where I didn't eat like that's also really weird because people sometimes I hear a story from an eating disorder to say, "Oh yeah, I ate an apple a day," or "I didn't eat anything." I was like, "How is that possible?" Like I couldn't do that. I always ate my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's like I've always done that. So it's actually quite mysterious even how and why my well, I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but like when like I lost quite fast. Um and yeah, I've seen that later on as well that it's like it works it works differently for everyone, you know, but for me it was like that.
So when you're saying you were still eating 3 meals a day, but you were still losing weight, you must have, I mean, it must have been like half of what you would normally eat.
Probably, and you know, also like I've always done sports. It's in my blood. Like I'm always on my feet all the time. Well, less now, but back then I was like just running around from one place to the other, and like I pretty much only slept at home. So yeah, probably this as well, you know, if you don't
Yeah.
eat as well and then you just are really active.
Did you, did it, did you ever, were you experiencing like really bad hunger pains because you weren't eating enough? Or you didn't, did you have any symptoms that would kind of make, like obviously your objective of losing weight outweighed that for you at that time, but was there anything you didn't like at the time as you were losing a lot of weight? Like were you experiencing pain or I know some people say that they can't think of anything but food, but they hate thinking about food, so they try not to, but they can't help but think of anything but food. Was that something that you experienced or
That's absolutely true. You cannot think of anything else, really.
yeah.
And also, like, of course, the hunger at some point it like does a 180-degree turn and it gets really nice to feel hungry. Um, I don't experience this anymore, like at all. Like this hunger is bad. It's a bad feeling. But yeah, with eating disorder, it's really common to like the feeling of hunger and to detest the feeling of fullness. So, um, but yeah, I think in the beginning it definitely was hard. You know, it's because it's not a normal state for the body to be in.
So, if you could estimate how many calories do you think you were actually eating a day?
Oh God, I don't know that. It's also I don't remember that well because it was so long time ago. But I definitely below 2000, definitely.
Right. So below what you should have been,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So when you finally did go to your mom and you were like, I have a problem, or I think I do, what made you think that? Was it just that one day you were like, huh, I'm really hungry and I'm not eating enough, or what? Or you looked at your body and you're like, I'm really skinny, maybe more than I thought I wanted to be. What was for you the connection of like, I need to get help? And like you said, I think this is encouraging for people is how important it is to get help because all of the people I know in my life did not tell anyone for years. And people maybe were like, "Are you okay?" You know, and would ask questions like that, but they would never share because it was very personal. They were ashamed of it, but at the same time, they wanted to control it. And so to share, it means it would have to, somebody else would get control of it and it would stop, and they didn't want that. And it's not until they got to really dark places that it was like, okay, I need help because I'm gonna die or I'm not gonna be able to sustain this anymore. Um, but for you, I mean, it's incredible to me that you had that softness of heart of like, oh my gosh, I need help. I need someone to help me. What gave you that prompting and how did that happen?
Mm. There is a very specific story, so I'll just tell you that. So it was a Tuesday at our like school, and we had a PE class on every Tuesday, and then like it's so hard to speak with someone that has a different school system that we do, but we have like class teachers who like yeah kind of take care of the whole class or
Yeah,
grade. Okay, so and then we always had on Tuesdays like the last lesson was the class teacher's lesson, and before that we had PE. And then you know I've always been well trying to not be like too much pride, take too much pride, but I've always like been really good at sports, so I was like always kind of like, one of the best in my class. And we had to run 60 meters, like timed, like as fast as you can, in this PE class. Like this was just we did it like like twice every year or whatever. And then, I was at the start line and I was, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then I remember this day so well. It's crazy. Like I literally remember what I ate before that. Um, and then I was like the start, like I heard the start, and then I felt like I can't run. And it's a feeling that I can't really describe because well, the best description I can say is that like if you know the feeling when you dream, when you have a dream and you're trying to run from someone, but you can't, you just don't move. And that was the feeling that I had. And
Hmm.
then I was kind of, like I collapsed. Well, I didn't collapse, but I kind of, like collapsed because I tried to run, but I couldn't, and I just was like kind of depleted from energy. And also, like, I'm so, like I said, I'm a maximalist. So if I feel like something is wrong, then I just like, I got really afraid as well because I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I run? Like, I'm always been the best at it. And then everyone was so, so shocked and like so worried because like they thought like, what is going on with Hannah? Why, what is she doing? And the PE teacher was really, really shocked. And then this is like just the craziest thing. Like we went to the after the PE class, I didn't do anything there anymore because the teacher just like sent me away and sent me to rest. And then the class teacher's lesson came. And we had two people come in from like an organization in Estonia talking about eating disorders. Like never happened before, never once had the topic of eating disorder been crossed in our school. Like
Wow.
I mean, or like maybe in our school, but like it wasn't a thing that you teach like in biology or whatever. Like it wasn't talked about. And
Yeah.
then on the same day that I kind of like collapsed, and it was the first time when I had anything like this happen to me. And then at the same day, like an hour or whatever later, they came in and they never came back. It was just this one day. And then
Wow.
they talked, they were just like coming and talking about like raising awareness, I think. And then in the end of it, first of all, during the whole lesson, I was like um counting on my fingers like all the symptoms they were talking about, and I was having like, for example, being cold all the time, and then also the like what you said before, like thinking about food all the time. I literally remember where I sat in the classroom and where I was looking because I have a very visual memory. And yeah, so and then in the end of the lesson, they gave everyone this like paper where it was like oh, like mark if you have any of these symptoms. And I like marked like almost every one of them. And then
Wow.
I remember going home with this paper, putting it on the like table on our like um kitchen table and saying like, Mom, and that was like the my mom says she doesn't remember the paper, but I really remember the paper, and I'm really wondering where it is because I would really like to see it, but I don't know where it is. But yeah,
Wow.
that's the story. Still gives me goosebumps every time.
And you trusted your mom enough to tell her.
Yeah, it's weird because I didn't think I didn't think I didn't even think about hiding it. Like every, already previously when I was counting the calories and cutting back on calories, I did it like everybody saw that I'm doing it. And my mom also like of course she's like, "Oh, how didn't I see it earlier?" But one, it all went really fast. And two, like for her it was just a teenage girl trying to eat healthier and what bad is like in that, if she's trying to eat healthier. Like in the beginning, she didn't think anything of it really. And also like she didn't see me that much because like I said, like I was only home for before they left and was home like for dinner, and that's kind of when they saw me.
Right.
And yeah, I never even thought about hiding it. So I thought that I'm having a problem and I was like worried about it. You know, and also at that point, I think I hadn't yet like gotten to the place where I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get help. I don't want to get healthy. This happened later. But at that point I was still like here.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said you went to a psychiatrist right away. You got an appointment. Did you
Yeah, in a
find
week.
the psychiatrist helpful? Like, how did that, was it just kind of like trying to figure out why you were having the eating disorder or?
I'm gonna answer that a bit like more generally because I'm just gonna say that eating disorder um recovery help in Estonia is, I don't even know what kind of word to use it. Like it's kind of non-existent. Or
Okay.
it's existent, but it's not helpful. And I understand that a lot of people say, well, it's coming from a person who has an eating disorder and probably doesn't even want to get help like from me, but it's not true. Like I really want to recover, but it's just for me at least, and I don't know a lot of good examples who have recovered under this kind of treatment that we have available. Um, Back then, you know, the place we went to actually it ended all really badly. Our whole family got traumatized from it, and like my mom even didn't like. So in the first I've been hospitalized for a total of 3 times. And the first, like in 2018, when I had like the most like the first and the most like serious um part was all like the whole summer in 2018, and I was like hospitalized 2 times, but first it was only for 10 days because then they had like a summer break.
The
The
hospital?
yeah.
No one
Uh,
can come to the hospital?
well, it's like the eating disorder ward had like they have, yeah, kind of a break. And if you're like in a very like terrible state, then you might be put into like another part or something. But yeah,
Wow.
I don't even know. So I was taken out in 10 days, and then the whole summer was a hellhole, really. My like home looked like a hospital because we literally had like a table of um or like a sheet where they had written like, okay, mom is making lunch while like my brother is putting like assembling a jigsaw puzzle with me at the same time so that I wouldn't be in the kitchen. And like everything was like thought through. Also, I was very suicidal, so I wasn't like alone ever.
Yeah.
And then I was hospitalized again in August 2018. So the first one was in June. And then I was there for a week because it was so terrible that my parents just took me out because they saw how it affected me. And like
What was it like? Is it just
it's very inhumane, I think. Very
because I wanna share a few first because I think I want you to know, in my life, when I have been there, I have had very close people in my life. who have gone to a mental institution in America where it's like it's the mental part of the hospital. Usually, um, it's maybe connected, but it's very different than like your physical hospital, right? And in America, at least in the one I went to, and in the ones that I heard from, um, it was awful. Like I had a friend, she shared with me that like first of all, people were all mixed together no matter what their struggle was. And so somebody who is suicidal or somebody who has struggled with eating disorder might be placed in the same room where there were tons of people with schizophrenia or with um more vicious looking type of disorders that would cause a lot of fear
Yeah,
for.
more like psychosis type of disorders. Yeah.
Right. And there was very limited contact with the outside world, like getting to call your parents or anything like that. And people were not very friendly, like staff. And so, and then in my experience, when I actually visited someone who was in the mental part of the hospital, everyone wore blue uniform. And I met with the person in a room where I could hear in the room, there's a guy walking around, right? And I don't even know what he's doing. And then in the other side, there's a guy talking to himself out loud, really loudly. And this is the visiting room, and everyone's here. And you've got all these people who have more psychotic um, mental health struggles that are more scary to see. And this is the visiting room. Like I'm sitting with this person and this is happening all around me. And even the person that was there was like, "Can you bring a Bible to me? Like, can you bring something to me? Because I'm not able to get it here." And it was very hard to get in, and they wanted to make sure that, you were almost completely like nothing. You had nothing with you except for what they approved. And I walked out of there and I said, I will never go there. Like if unless like everyone in my life is like, you must go, I will never go because I would just get worse here. Like I would never get better. I would feel absolutely traumatized for life. I will never go back. And I'm like, I've already had so much trauma in my life, and to think of going here to get help, I couldn't even think about it. So when you're talking about how bad it was in Estonia, I just want to say from experience here in America, it's not good at all.
That's super interesting to hear because that really sounds like an asylum like place that you're
Yeah.
talking.
Yes.
Because like on the contrary, I've heard like well, one is like I've heard, but I actually know that like treatment centers for eating disorders are super great. And also like not saying that every one of them are, but like that are really like like I had a eating disorder recovery coach from the US because like at some point I started to look look for help from outside because like in Estonia it just doesn't work. And I wouldn't say that it's so bad like you describe, but it doesn't mean that it's like effective like the way they treat you. Um, so yeah, I had a eating disorder recovery coach from the US and like where she was when she was struggling and like there is this very very good like treatment center called Montanito.
Hmm.
They're all over US and like there are really good other examples on in the world as well. New Zealand has some great and like UK has and like a lot of countries have because eating disorders well if you would ask me I would say every country should have that kind of a treatment center or treatment like facility or like a home
Sure.
for people. Um, and it's very sad that it doesn't be like that countries don't because it's the number one most fatal mental illness and like I don't know if you know the numbers, but like every fourth um of the women die from it. So it's scary when you think about it like that.
Yeah. So when you were in the hospital, when you said I think, forgive me, what you said it the second time, right? It was the most traumatic for you, or was it the first time?
Yeah, the second time. It
Was
was
it in some way, can you describe how? Was it just,
yeah, so the I'm gonna say in firstly, like I've been to two different hospitals. So there is this one where I was in 2018 when I was 14, so I was underage. So this is like a children's hospital, and you can go there until you're 16, or if you have like a history of going there, they might let you stay until you're 18. But like, yeah. So I was there, and there, I was a kid, also we didn't have phones. We got like only for a really limited time um during the day, and you were like behind locked doors. You had really not a lot of space, not a lot of like area to like no privacy. Um and to me it was more about how the staff treated you, like so top to bottom, and like so like yeah, kind of just like angry and like not supportive and things like that. And then they were like the second time when I didn't want to go, they were kind of like scaring me with bringing the guards if I'm not gonna like go in the doors by myself, and they're gonna take the guards, and the guards are gonna like strap me and put me in. And I was like, this is not okay. And then, that was traumatizing. And then like also I think something happened between my parents and the family therapist, or yeah. And then I don't know like all the details, but my like literally my mom also said that she's traumatized, but like because of some other things. Like it wasn't like only me, it was also what was told to them.
yeah.
And then the second time, or like, well, the third time, but the second hospital that I went to. So this was 2024, so last year. And you know, with my disorder, there is so I was in remission for like 2 years in between, where I was like almost like everybody thought that I'm recovered and healthy. So this was about like I would say 2021 to 2023 kind of. Like it's you cannot really pinpoint it, but approximately. And I was normal like weight and healthy weight, and did everything normally, lived a normal life, did a lot of sports. There was like a time period between before I got the relapse. But if I fast forward to 2024 when I was hospitalized again, I went to another hospital because I couldn't go back to the one that I was at in 2018. And this is actually in another city in Estonia, which is like absurd in my opinion, but in the capital of Estonia, there are there is no eating disorder help for adults, only for the children. Um, and this is just doesn't fit in my head. Like, how is that possible? And the only place you can get eating disorder help is the other like town or the other city in Estonia, in southern Estonia. Um, and it has a maximum of 12 beds. So for the entire country, we have a maximum of 12 spots for eating disorder recovery at a time. And it's never
And
like,
that's anyone over 16?
yeah, that's anyone. And
Hmm.
also the people from like the southern part of Estonia who are under age as well.
Wow.
So this is crazy. And yeah, and I went there and well, I could talk about days about this experience, but also, but yeah, how can I even summarize that? It was also, this was much better than the children's one, but it has so many flaws. And it's still like very, like you just don't feel mentally well there. And which is this the craziest part is that you don't get any mental help. You only eat there pretty much. And they try to make it, but there are no psychologists because there are no resources because people don't want to go working at a hospital that the government is financing because the wages are so much lower than the same psychologist would get when they make their own like company to give treatment. So nobody wants to come. So there are no psychologists. So, for example, the 3 months in the hospital, like no mental support. And if you want to have a psychologist or a therapist, go find one yourself. And that this is crazy because I have been really lucky that I have a really good support system, and I actually, my mom is a like has a master's in psychology, and she knows the whole fish pond of psychologists in Estonia, so like and therapists. So we have always been like quite lucky in like trying to find the way to a good therapist, which is like finding a great therapist is super hard. But I cannot imagine what the people who don't have these kinds of contacts, what do they like? They don't have them. And it was crazy for me to see the people at the hospital, like my fellow I don't know, eating disorder friends. Uh, um, they they are at the hospital, like full control on in the hands of the staff, and then they are let like they leave, they go home, and they have nobody. They don't have any therapist. Well, if they're lucky, they have a supportive family, but this is also like usually not the case.
But when you're talking about full control from the staff and all you do is eat there, what does that mean? Do they force you to
So
eat food? Like, how does that work?
so 6 times a day you sit at a table. Four nurses are staring at you, and um, you don't, you cannot leave anything on your plate, even a crumb. Like literally, if there is a little bit of sauce on the bottom of your plate and you start to leave with your tray, they ask you to go and sit down and take a spoon and like literally lick it, pretty much. There is no th like nothing that you can leave.
So they just stare at you to make sure all your food is taken. They don't say anything?
No, and it's completely, and this this was so weird for me in the beginning when I went there because nobody talks. Like you cannot talk. Well, you kind of can, but like you cannot talk to each other. Like if I'm sitting at a table with my friends that we've come like, I have been living here with like great people. I like we don't talk when we eat. And for me it was so crazy because I'm so used to like talking, like eating is a social thing for me, always has been. And our family dinners have always been like a long, long thing. We talk over and it's crazy. And then there it was just silence and they muted the silence with putting the radio on every time, and like all the same songs and stuff.
But what I would think that if people are being forced to eat without, because you're saying, you go and you don't have any mental help, so really all they're doing is just trying to get calories into you. But you're working with people. who are afraid of calories, terrified of them due to their mental state. Wouldn't this cause some people to like just throw it up and gag? Because I mean, if you're having to eat all this food and you're mentally not, nothing mentally is changing, you're just being forced to eat, wouldn't that result in, I would think, people throwing up and like gagging because they can't get the food down?
Well, they start off like easy. So, I mean, like, if they literally, like, if you can't eat the food, you get a supplement, which is usually like, like a drink that contains the same amount of calories and like they are like small.
Okay,
And
so we're
they're
not
like
talking about
full.
like really full plates here.
Well, we are. This is like it's not advisable. Like they try to make you eat. Like they will try everything, and if you really can, they will give you the supplement. But like in the long run, if you want to get out of the hospital, you have to start eating normally and you have to do it for a really long time. So if you just drink the drinks, they won't let you like you just prolong your being there.
Now, were you able to contact your parents at all or
Yeah,
your
th
family?
this was great actually. Like we always had our phones and our computers, so we could like th this I am really grateful for, We were never like only time we couldn't be on our phones was like eating, then sleeping. Like the sleeping times were quite strict, but that's like normal. And and yeah.
Okay. And you said the staff you didn't find particularly encouraging.
Yeah, no. Like there were people who I'm really who like kept me alive there, kind of, some nurses, definitely. Um, but yeah, like 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 half of the nurses were really nice. Half of them were, they didn't really care for you actually. And they were like they used they used their power on you. Um, because they were in this position, they could tell you anything and everything.
Yeah.
And you were kind of also the thing that like triggered me the most was how they just looked at you and only seeing like the only thing they see is the disorder. They don't see you as a person. And this like hurt me to such a deep level that like I tried to show them who I really am and like connect with them, but no. Like everything, like even to the smallest detail, I don't know if you know what a kendama is. It's a Japanese toy. Uh,
Okay.
it's kind of wooden toy that you like play with, and you um do like different tricks.
Okay.
And it was a thing that like I really like love to play with, and it was kind of my like safe thing to do. Like it was my hobby, and I took it there as well to the hospital because I wanted to like because we had so much time to kill, so I wanted to play with that. And I was like, oh yeah, it's such my thing. And then I was like, it was taken away from me because like they thought that I'm trying to lose calories with it, and I'm trying to burn calories with playing with it. And I was like, this is just insane. And I understand. I like to some extent I understand them because they have to have some kind of rules so that and not make exceptions because then it's gonna they have to start making exceptions for example, maybe for me it wasn't an eating disorder behavior, but maybe for someone else it would be. So it's really hard for them to like actually know. So I kind of understand that, but with this system, there's no way people are gonna get help, like actual help and actually recover.
Yeah.
And also like the same with the eating, it's like they don't teach you to eat. Like you're never gonna eat the way eating there. Like and this is the biggest gap that nobody is filling, that they just like at some point people go out because everybody wants to get out. Nobody wants to stay there, you know?
Yeah.
So they get out and then they go home and then nothing. And then they like I don't know, like I know people who have gone there like 20 times or more because that's just like they go like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and nothing changes. And the scariest part is that some of them are like, yeah, like 14-year-olds that have been like living like already years there. And it's just like,
Oh, that's so hard.
yeah.
For you, Hannah, though, it seems like you're kind of taking your recovery in your own hands at this point. Is it because you mentioned that you now have, or I think you said now you have an American coach,
Yep.
right? Like an American eating coach. Um, is that like a Zoom thing that you meet with? Yeah.
Yep.
Um, do you feel like what do you find as a person who struggles with an eating disorder the most helpful for you in conquering this life-altering struggle?
Um, Empathy, um, support in a way that like belief, that like actual belief. Um,
That you can get better?
yeah, and that like others believe in me. And also um other good examples because like I like for example the eating disorder coach that I have, she like her listening to her story and how she recovered. Like I've found it really helpful working with people who have experienced it themselves because to like for me this changes everything because they just understand you on such a deep like more deeper level because my mom has seen everything from the side, you know, and she even doesn't understand it fully comprehend. Um, so how do people who like it's such a complex disorder and so hard to understand that like I usually say that only people who have like experienced it themselves really understand it. So that's why I like to really work with people who have an experience with it.
Do you feel like where you are now, are you encouraged by the progress you're making at this point?
Mm, so and so. Um, it's funny. I think right now, like right now, I'm having like a bit of a harder time in my life, and it's really hard to actually have this belief in any like believe that it's actually that that I am going to recover. Um, because you know it's been going on for a while, and like I'm saying, like there is. Like I know that I need help, like in Estonia as well. Like I need a psychiatrist to write me medication or whatever. But like there are no great options. So it's like what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna get those people? So building the support system has been really hard, and you know like the ideal situation would be that you know you would have a team working, not like all different individuals, because
Right.
it,
A
you
team
know,
working together,
yeah, exactly.
collaborating.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But right now I have like one person from here, other person from there, and you know, it's like very scattered around. So currently yeah, I'm like, I have a very strong desire to recover and want to get healthy, but it is a little bit difficult at the moment just to find the belief and the hope, really.
Yeah, I think that is so relatable. I mean, I just, from my perspective of things, for me, because I, not too long ago, maybe 7 months ago, was really struggling with like debilitating panic attacks. Um, and I still have days where I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to get better. Like, I'm never gonna be able to think positively about this or see this as reality. Um, and it was when you're talking about support system, it's something that I feel very blessed in that my support team is very communicative, my psychiatrist, my counselor. But also in the US, we have so many more resources than you're
Yep.
talking about. And um, it's just been such an encouragement to have all of them working together for my good and then being able to, because I'm a Christian, just seeing the Lord help me through so much. And I don't feel alone because so many times when you talk to people, like you said, they don't know what you're going through. They can say, I'm here. And you're like, thank you. I appreciate that. But it's very different when someone's like, I've been there and I
Hmm.
get it and I want to help you. Um, but I want to encourage you, like, the fact that you are putting this out there, like, so many people are encouraged. I know because the fact that I found you and I'm some random person in Virginia, and I see your video and I'm like encouraged by that. And the fact that,
That's really cool.
yeah,
That's
I hope you see, like, in a way, your struggle because you're so vulnerable and you want people to get help and you want to get help and you're very vocal about that. You're blessing people across the world, and that's huge.
that's
And your struggle is not in vain, even though it's so hard, and I'm so sorry that it is. And there is not a day that does not go by when I'm like, Lord, I don't want to have mental health problems anymore. I will have anything else. Like, just please. I want a new mind. Can we do a brain transplant? I don't know, but I would love that.
yeah.
Just, oh, wow, everything. I see the world so different. Everything's good. I'm chill. But anyway, I don't mean to talk on, but I am just want to say I'm so grateful and that you're sharing your story. And I
Absolutely.
ask you to keep doing that. Please do. And please do not give up because the fact that you are seeking and searching for help, you're not close to that. And I think that's awesome. And I think that will get you the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was so awesome. Like, um, when I got your email, about like the podcast, I was like, wow, how did you even find me? Which is really, really cool.
Oh yeah. No, YouTube. Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah,
Little
like one thing though with the YouTube, it's like I was talking with my mom about like I've been having a little bit of a dilemma with the YouTube as well because I really love making videos. Also, it was so weird. Like when I started, I remember saying that when this starts bringing anxiety to my life, I will quit. I will stop. And now it's bringing anxiety to my life, but I'm not stopping, because
It does though, because you're worried about numbers, you're worried about then there's competition where you're like, wow, that person's video is way better than mine. And then it's like, should I change what I'm doing? And then you have a crisis where you're like, am I stupid? Like, does anyone care? Like, I am with you. Like the
yeah,
anxiety thing.
And then I was just like talking with my mom, and she was like, "Are you sure you want to like keep doing only eating disorder stuff?" Um, and I because I I always want to do things with a purpose. So, for example, the eating disorder videos, I have a very clear purpose, and I want to have a niche and stuff like that. And I really didn't ever think about like what my like I didn't struggle with finding a niche on YouTube because I really had a really specific like strong with the eating disorder topic. But then I was like starting to think when my mom brought it up, and I was yeah, it's like she is right in a way, because she was saying like, aren't you a little bit afraid that you're like strengthening your identity with the eating disorder, with like being this kind of portrait of a person who is recovering from an eating disorder. And I've struggled with this in my life a little bit, that it has become such a big identity. And it's like really helped me that, I've been so open and vulnerable, but also it has put me in a place where everybody knows that I'm sick, and it's become like a normality kind of, like, oh, Hannah is the one who's the girl with the eating disorder, and it's like normal, and nobody's saying bad things about it. But that's also like kind of become a really, really strong part of me.
Yeah.
And then with the videos as well, I was like, yeah, maybe you're right, and for example, if we think about a longevity of a YouTube channel or whatever, then I was just starting to think that I don't want to do these videos forever, I don't want to stay like doing only fear food videos, or like whatever, these kinds of videos forever, because it's just I do want to help people. But is this the way, like putting myself as the character um who only has the eating disorder? So I'm just currently like I don't have an answer to all of this that I'm talking about, but I'm just currently kind of like thinking a lot about how I could um like continue with making like having a really positive impact on people with my YouTube videos, but take this like start taking the eating disorder out out of it a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Uh, to just like protect myself, and also like, what happens if I'm not sick anymore? Like,
Yeah.
does my channel die if I'm only a person with the eating disorder? So yeah, I'm just and at the moment, because I'm still like, well, I know the numbers are not the most important thing, but like if we're thinking about longevity or building an audience, then it's easier to do it now rather like early than like later in time.
Right. Well, I think you're correct in that you love video production and you're Hana. You're
Yeah,
not,
storytelling.
you're not, right, storytelling. You're not your eating disorder. Now, in this period of your life, that happens to be a big feature of what you're struggling with and going through, but you can always I mean, one thing that I've been encouraged by with my listeners is like I've done interviews with people struggling with mental health like I am. But I've also done interviews with people that are completely different topics. No, like stuff I don't even know. No mental health mention, nothing. It's completely different. But I still get to do what I love, which is meeting someone I don't know and talking to them and having them, get to share with me and getting that human interaction. But at the same time, it's like you said, it's like I love storytelling and I
Yeah.
struggle with, but I don't have to have the storytelling always be about that. And because I saw earlier, and anyone who's going to look at your YouTube channel will see that you did some skiing videos earlier before you started this. I think, and the fact that you have skill with video, which I don't, my video skill is very limited. Um, I think it's so cool, like you said. I mean, there's so much you can do storytelling wise. It doesn't always have to focus on that. Um, but as you said, if you're trying to do things for a purpose, then it's going to encourage somebody because you're not just trying to make something. for nothing, you know?
Yeah. I've listened to a lot of like a couple of your podcasts with actors or actresses. It's been really cool because that's like my warming up my heart, so it's been really nice as well.
I know, and who knows? What if you're gonna be an actress? That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, then I'm coming back with a different like now I'm having one type of caption or like a title, and then I'm gonna come back with another title.
Yeah. 20 years later, Estonian actress
Yeah.
playing in a film so famous, and I'm
First
be like,
first
man, I knew
Estonian
her
actress
once.
winning an Oscar.
Yeah. Oh man. That would be incredible. I'm
That was
sorry.
so funny though. I was watching Oscars. It was a couple days ago, and it was Latvia won for the first time in their history for the um, animated movie Flow. It
Yeah.
won. And then they were making fun on the stage about Estonia that, oh, Latvia won for the first time, and then the ball is in your court, Estonia, and then they did it for like two or three times, like making fun about Estonia, and it was like that's so cool. Like they like people don't even know where or what Estonia even is, and they're like saying this on the big stage. Like I took it as inspiration, and I was like, "Ah, we're coming for you."
Yeah,
We've been
maybe
nominated,
maybe
but
you'll be the person and then you'll go to the Oscars and you'll say, "Remember that time back in 2025?" Well,
yeah,
hello. I heard you. Here I am.
yeah, that's a dream.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much again, and I hope that your dream comes true. But regardless, thank you for blessing us with being vulnerable, which in acting is huge. So you're practicing something you want to do. So thank you so much again for taking the time, and we are cheering you on.
That's so kind of you. Thank you for reaching out to me. It has been really nice
You're
talking to you.
you're welcome. Well, I hope you have a good night, sleep well, and thank you again for staying up late for this.
No, it's fine. It's just totally fine. I was just a little bit worried if I'm gonna like talk like am I gonna make sense? But it's not that late actually, so
Okay, okay, good. I was worried
but I
about
am
that.
gonna go to sleep in a little bit, so. But
Okay.
you have a nice day.
You too. Bye, Hannah.
Bye bye.